So this is lesson 7.1, Systems of Linear Equations in Three Variables. And what we're going to do is systems in three variables, which means we'll just go right ahead and look at example 1. So what we have here is three variables, which means in order to solve it, we have to have three equations. So the number of variables determines the number, that's a plus sign right there, let's get rid of my y a little bit. The number of variables determines the number of equations I have to have in order to solve. Now my z's and 2's kind of look alike, so I put a line through my z so that you know it's a z and not a 2. So if we have three variables, in order to solve for each of the variables, we have to have three equations. All right. You might have learned several different ways to solve these. I learned one particular way to do this that I have used for years and years and works well for me, but the book does not give us that option. Now, I would teach it to you anyway, but with what we're doing in this chapter, we're going to get into solving systems of equations using matrices. It uses the same format to solve using matrices. So if you've used the format in solving the system algebraically, then when you have to do it using matrices, it is going to be a lot easier. So even though it'll be a little bit tough to get the hang of it, at least it is for me, should be a good intro to solving matrices. Okay, so first of all, what we've got here is we have an x, y, z, x, y, z, x, y, z. Okay, so we have an x, a y, a z. Don't worry about whether it's negative. We'll just put the variables up here. And in order to solve this, we need to get rid of the x and the xy so that when we're done, it looks like that. So we'll have an xyz here, just a yz here, and just a z here, which means we have to get rid of this x and this x and y right there. And then we'll have it in the right format. So the steps that we're going to do are going to eliminate those three variables there that I have highlighted in red. So let's highlight them and get going. All right, so first step is the variable in front of the x here, or I'm sorry, the coefficient, the number in front of the x here, and the number in front of the y here must be positive ones. So what I'm trying to do is get this to be a 1 and this to be a 1. I don't care what this is, okay? That doesn't matter what that is. But anyway, that's the first step. So if you want to, or find that it's the easiest, which I do, is we're going to switch this one up with this one, because when we do that, this one already has a 1 there and we don't have to do anything to it, okay? If this is not a 1, or none of these are 1s, and we've got to make this one a 1, we multiply the entire thing by 1/2, because 1/2 times 2 would make that a 1. Now we've got a bunch of stinking fractions here, but at least that's a 1. Okay, so that not being the case, we're just going to switch those around. All right, so I'm going to turn this off so you're not watching me rewrite everything. Okay, so there they are, just switched around is all I did. All right, so the next step is to eliminate this x here completely. Okay, so this is the plan, if you can remember it. We're going to make the first coefficient in front of the x a positive 1, which we just did by switching them around. The next step is to eliminate this x. Next step is to make this a positive 1y. The next step is to eliminate this and eliminate this. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. Eliminate this, make this a positive 1, eliminate this, and eliminate that. Okay? So that's what we're doing. So let's go ahead in that order. Let's get rid of this 2x. What we're going to do in order to do that is if we can find a number that we can add to the 2x that would make that a 0, that would be perfect. So a negative 2 plus 2 makes that 0. So what we're going to do is we are going to multiply the top one by negative 2. And that gives me negative 2x minus y plus 2z equals negative 3. And that's 2x minus 3y. This is the second one, and I'm going to bring one more thing up here in just a minute. All right, this one right here, this x minus y plus 2z equals 3. Let's highlight that in blue here. That means it's permanent, okay? So no matter what we do to it, like here, we're multiplying everything here by, eventually by negative 2. Let me go ahead and put my parentheses here. Okay? Even though I'm multiplying this by negative 2, this is locked. This will not change. We're going to use it in order to work with this one and this one, but what I have here in blue here, and you might want to do this, once you get this number in front of your x to be a positive 1, highlight it or something so that you know when you're done, you're going to have this equation right here. Okay? The rest of it, when we change things around, is going to not matter. All right, so notice what I did. I took the same thing, I'm multiplying it by negative 2. I'm going to erase this whole thing and go ahead and distribute that negative 2 rather than rewrite it again. All right, so let's do that. Negative 2 times x is negative 2x plus 2y minus 4z equals 6. Now I'm going to add those. Those go away. Negative y minus 3z equals 5. Okay. But remember, I said this has to be a positive 1, and right now it's a negative. So I'm going to multiply the whole thing by negative 1. And that's going to give me y plus 3z equals negative 5. And that's what I want. Because remember, I wanted to get rid of the x, and I wanted to make the y positive. So once that's done, I'm going to do this in blue again. That's locked in place. That won't change. So this is what I have so far. I'm going to write this, and I'm going to write this, and then the third part here that I haven't done anything, I'm going to write that just so you can make sure that we're keeping track of what's going on here. And then I've got my y plus 3z equals negative 5. And then I have this. So let's go ahead and write that. Okay, so now what I need to get rid of, I got rid of the x, I got rid of the negative y here. Now I have to get rid of this 3x, and I need to get rid of this 1y. Okay, so that's the next step. So what I'll do here is I'll multiply this whole thing, and again, this is locked. Okay, I can mess around with it and change what it looks like, but in the end, these two now are locked. I can do things to them, but make sure that you remember that when you're done, these will be in your final answer. Okay? All right, so if I look at this 3x, if I want to get rid of that, if I multiply that by negative 3x, and the whole thing by negative 3x, when I add this negative, or by negative 3, when I multiply this by negative 3, I get negative 3x, add it to that, and this will go away. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by negative 3. Okay, and let's move all this up here, and we're going to write what we get when we multiply that by negative 3. Okay. And we're going to not even worry about that right now. We're going to put the third one down here. And we're going to add, those go away. We get 4y minus 7z equals 18. Okay, so what do we have so far? Let's go ahead and write this in black. We've got what was locked, x minus y plus 2z equals negative 3 from here. We have y plus 3z. So you notice I'm putting everything that was locked down there, and I have this. Okay, I'm getting closer. Now all I have to do is get rid of this 4y. So, because I did this in an orderly fashion, if I multiply the second equation by negative 4, that will give me the 4y plus, or negative 4y plus 4y, which will give me 0y. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to write the top number right here. Again, it's locked. I know you're going to get sick of me hearing that, but it's important for you to remember. Once you get your 1 in front of here, it's locked and it will not change. You can adjust, you can change it to add or to get rid of x's and y's below it, but you can't, it won't change. So this is negative 4y minus 12z equals 20. And we have our 4y minus 7z equals 18. So we're going to add these two together. And when we add those two together, our y's disappear. We get negative 19z equals 38. Alright, so we got rid of our x and we got rid of our y down here. So we don't have anything. We got exactly where we needed to be, so we're going to lock that up. Alright, so what do we have locked? I'm going to do this in black here. We have x, whoa, I'm sorry, I did it in highlighted black. Alright, let's do it in regular old black. Alright, so we have x minus y plus 2z equals negative 3. Y plus 3z equals negative 5. And then we have from here negative 19z equals 38. Alright, so let's move all this up. This is our final system, okay, after we've done our substituting. And we need that because we're going to do what's called back substituting, and I'll show you what that means. Alright, right here we have one variable, one equation. Okay, so our answer to this becomes z equals negative 2. Okay, so we know one of our answers of the xyz. Now we take that negative 2 and put it in here. Y plus 3 times negative 2, negative 5. So y plus, plus negative 6 equals negative 5. So y equals negative 5 plus 6, which equals 1. So y equals 1. Okay. Now we take our z is negative 2, put it here. Our y is 1, and put it here. Okay, so let's move this up a little bit. And we get x minus 1 from here plus 2 times negative 2 equals negative 3. Alright, I'm going to have to move this up again. So x minus 1 minus 4 equals negative 3. X equals Negative 3 plus 1 is negative 2 plus 4 is 2. So x is 2. So what I found out is my answer. X is 2, y is 1, z is negative 2. And that is my answer. So it took, let's get this out of here, quite a few steps here in order to get that. And if you look at it, you're like, what the heck is going on here? But hopefully, in my discussion of this, you were able to follow the procedure that the book was giving us to do these. Okay, so these are a little bit tricky. So anyway, we will keep plugging away and, do a couple more of these. If you notice in the skills check on page 518, when I assign these 1 through 4, they've already got them in that position. Okay, so really all you're doing with 1 through 4 is back substituting, which I just explained how to do. Numbers 5 through, 16, actually through 26, you're doing everything I showed you. Now, one of the things that's important to realize here, in every single one of these that they give you, one or more of the x's has a coefficient of 1. So that should make it a lot easier as you do these. They're not getting into really, really hard ones where all of the x's have numbers in front of them, where you have to divide by a fraction in order to get them to work. They've made them all fairly easy that way. So that's the method in order to do these, and we'll keep going in 7.1 B as in boy.